Here from Representative Huberty.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Couple questions. The bill takes you used comparisons for this year for resource adequacy for this summer going in. The bill doesn't take effect till September, so really that's not going to help us.
Well, actually, what we saw with the wind RPS is that even before the goals that were set out in the wind RPS were actually going into effect,
sure.
We saw people beginning to contract with wind facilities to build new generation. So we beat those
right.
goals ahead of time.
I guess here's my point: is that you know, because we listened to some of this last session, and you know, I think cost is a big factor in this, and it's good to see that it's coming down, but. You know, if this takes effect, you're talking about 1,500 megawatts, I think, is what the bill's trying to get accomplished. Is that right?
Yes.
So how long is it going to take to get that operational, in your opinion?
I think over the course of time, I believe that it will be built much more quickly than the bill actually lays out, because the companies that are in this industry have been very focused on Texas for a long time and are really looking for a signal that we're open for business. We've already seen in San Antonio, for instance, they've committed to building 400 megawatts over the next two or 3 years. So I think we'll actually see a substantial amount very early on.
So going back, you mentioned the PUC. I mean, the reality is the PUC is working on the rules and regulations right now to you know, it's kind of a capitalistic market, right, is what we're really focused on in Texas.
Absolutely.
I believe, right? Where we want to make sure that you know, if you've got the best idea and the best product,
Members, any questions for B?
It's going to make sense.
Thank you, B.
I understand the wind argument, but I don't want to bring that into it because this is really about a completely different issue here. So the point is, I think we've got to wait and see where I think the PUC is going to come out on this to be able to do that. So that's one concern that I have. The second is, when you say 50 cents a rate pay, when you say 50 cent a person, you mean 50 cent a rate payer or 50%
residential customer.
Residential customer.
Yes.
And that's to pay for the entire, how many residential customers are paying. So it's not going to impact commercial, it's not going to impact industry or manufacturing.
No, I was just using that as an approximation for a residential customer. It will impact, large industrial customers have the option to opt out of this policy altogether, so it won't affect them. But, you know.
They wouldn't, so they wouldn't have to pay?
They wouldn't have to pay, that's correct.
Okay. So how many people is this? What's the price tag to the citizens of the state of Texas for this?
Again, about 50 cents a month.
And how many residential?
Off the top of my head, I don't know how many residential customers.
So how do you know it's 50 cents?
I have the spreadsheet. I'd be happy to work with you on the model for it. I don't have it on me.
I'm just curious how many people it is. I just want to know. I can do the math and go 50 cents times 10 million people and figure it out.
If I had brought my iPad with me today, I'd be happy.
So
you
don't know what's the cost per kilowatt hour then that everybody would be paying? Is that?
That's again,
comparatively, if you didn't have a subsidy, what would the cost per kilowatt hour for solar versus what it's going to be for resident natural gas right now? Because right now, I think you can probably buy it for 6 or 7 cents. You know, if you bid it out.
Natural gas.
Whatever whatever your go to Choice or Power to Choose, or whatever that website's called.
So again, I would go to just a few months ago, El Paso Electric signed an agreement for a solar facility in New Mexico just across the border that's 5.79 cents a kilowatt hour.
They don't have any subsidies?
I believe they do have a subsidy, but I've looked at estimates that show that would still be a relatively low number, probably on the scale of 7 cents a kilowatt hour for solar without the subsidies.
So if it's 7 cents an hour, why would you need the subsidies?
Well, the concern here, and you mentioning the PUC issue is very critical. It's obviously an important issue right now, and I know we're considering a number of things related to that. The concern here is that nobody can build anything right now. So it costs about 6.5 cents to build a new natural gas power plant, and the market price is about.
I'm just curious. I'd be interested to see if you have those. I mean, it sounds like you know what you're talking about.
So. I would be more than happy. I apologize I don't have the spreadsheet with me, but I'd be more than happy to meet with you and talk more.
That's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Chairman Turner has a question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, and I'm sorry that I missed it. Explain to me where the subsidy comes from again.
So the way this program works is it provides a marketplace where the electric companies, the retail providers, can purchase credits for renewable energy, and that gives them the rationale and the reason to invest in renewable energy projects and work with developers to build new renewable energy projects. The way that the incentive or subsidy, if you will, is felt by the solar developers or the other renewable energy developers is it provides the retailer with the motivation to go out with them and contract for renewable energy. Currently today, they don't have that motivation to contract for any kind of energy, and what we're trying to do is to get them in a position where they'll at least work with renewable energy developers. The way that that's felt by the customer is to the extent that the retail provider has to go out and buy renewable energy that's above market price, that gets divided among the entire marketplace. And that's that 50 cent per month estimate that I provided in a worst case scenario. I actually have done the analysis based on current solar costs, and I would estimate it to be about 11 cents a month for a residential customer.
Well, at least we wouldn't have to build all the plants.
And how long does it remain in effect?
That's actually a good question. The RPS, I believe, remains in effect until 2025. But what you see happen, as happened with the wind RPS or the current RPS, is the price of the renewable energy credits goes down essentially to $1 or zero, which is really imperceptible to a residential customer. I could get you an estimate of how much it might cost, but it's very, very small.
And how much collectively is generated by the that 50 cents or whatever amount that's on the surcharges? How much does that generate?
In terms of electricity?
No, in terms of cost.
I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'd be happy to meet with your office and share them with you.
Okay. If you could,
I'd be happy to. Yes.
Members, any other questions? If not, we're going to go on to our next witness.
Thank you
very much.